Gamers, thank you. Hey now. Let's try that again. Greetings, gamers. This is Season 5, Episode 8 of Ropai Gamer, the Gamers Podcast. My co-host throwing me for a loop there. I am your GM Byron, and of course...
You keep messing it up, dude! You keep messing it up!
You keep freaking butting in!
I know, because you keep messing it up!
We just came before! In 5 minutes to buy or something?
No, you need to keep this in the podcast.
I am. Obviously, my co-host Howard is here.
Greetings!
And joining us once again is the lovely Puff.
Hi, everyone.
DJ Puffy Puff.
And I actually, first and foremost, I have to give an extreme apology to the listeners. What was supposed to be a only 1 week hiatus turned into an almost 3 week hiatus. However, the everything is set. The last episode we recorded it should actually be up by the time this gets posted. This will get posted on time, and we should be back on schedule. So, but yeah, I have to grievously apologize for that huge, freaking length of nothingness, which just happened again. What the hell?
Yeah, what's going on with you, man? You're like having these weird pauses. Are you having like seizures or something?
No.
Because if you are, that would be awesome.
What?
How could that be awesome?
No, I mean, can you just like the podcast? It would just be, and it would be talking, and everyone would be, and really screwing with the people at home.
No. Don't do that again. Don't you ever do that again. You just embarrass the hell out of everybody.
Well, now I'm trying to figure out if there's really been tech issues or if Howard is just messing with all of us now. Because he did that way too good.
Yeah, I know when Howard's actually like doing it deliberate.
Best troll ever, though.
Anyway, we were actually trying to figure out a topic for this week, and Howard came up with an idea. I came up with an idea, but in the process of Howard and I coming up with an idea, I asked if Puff had an idea. And so I figured we'd actually do all three of the ideas.
That's cool. Are we going to do what we've done in gaming?
Yes, we can do that. Which I will actually start with.
Awesome.
Because holy fucking shit, an entire week with Howard.
Woohoo! That was fun, dude.
That was, man, and I love crashing your games. Because it always is like dropping a freaking, stone to start an avalanche. It always seems to be that way in every game I've ever, like, sat in on of yours. Because I remember, I think it was the Rackus campaign. You and I created a character, and I sat in on it, and that guy became like one of the most important NPCs in the whole freaking game.
Dark campaign back in college.
That was the Dark campaign.
That was Corsaine, Admiral Corsaine.
Yep. And then, and then I sat in on the Shinetar game, which you let me bring back the character that I actually debuted here on Ropai, Corman. You let me bring him back. And then I played it was just supposed to be just kind of just a random background NPC for your Star Wars Saga game, and Skipper Dan.
Skipper Dan, that was awesome, dude.
Skipper Dan ruled.
I can't believe it. Like, no one could believe you kept up that ridiculous accent the entire game.
Okay, now I have to hear this accent. When you have a name like Skipper Dan, I know it's going to be good. Come on, throw it at me.
Give a shot!
That's okay. I am Skipper Dan.
The entire game. 3.5 hours.
Like, sometimes even out of game, I was just talking like this.
Oh, it was hilarious. And they went to like one of the like the.
Rochelle, what the fuck is Rochelle? Give me Rochelle, man.
Oh god, it was awesome. I was laughing so hard during the game that I could hardly run it. It was great.
and like some of his players were like, okay, my character is fucking hating your character, but I'm loving it. He's like, I'm loving what you're doing, but my character fucking hates you.
And actually, that entire game was inspired by the Star Tours ride at Disney, and they basically hijacked the Star Tours bus in the middle of one of the Star Tours rides.
Yep. My character was inspired. First, he told me I was going to be a tour guide. and then I just ran with it. I was inspired. I was inspired from originally Weird Al's song "Skipper Dan," which talks about this guy who like went through all this acting classes and whatnot, graduated from Juilliard, and like 50 years later, he's doing the jungle, the jungle tour at, like Adventure World. Inspired from that and from Chris Tucker's character in Fifth Element when he played Ruby Rod. And actually a bit of him from the first Rush Hour, from the first two Rush Hours as well. Is where I got my inspiration for the character. I meshed all that, put all that in a blender, hit frappe, and just threw it at everyone.
It was brilliant, dude. It was absolutely it is the second greatest cameo you have ever done in my games. And I'm sorry, the best cameo was when you played the professor, the bumbling professor, when you were actually playing Craft.
I did Butch.
My God!
Yes,
So
that was great.
Skipper Dan.
I almost forgot about that one.
Oh, I never will. Because my players, at the very end of it, you're flying away, and they're sitting there, and they go, wait a minute. He was playing us the entire time? I'm like, yep.
Yep.
And they're like, how? How did he do that? I'm like, he's just that good, people. And you were just like, see ya, and you were gone.
Like, I got what I want, peace!
They were left to hold the bag so hard. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I left them with the check.
And you just played. They completely bought into the whole bumbling professor persona and completely missed all the other antics.
Sylvan Butchcraft was a con artist and thief that I started with Howard. Oh God, I was still living in Manassas.
Yeah.
So I mean, this was like pre AIW. And I started him up. I think I was actually visiting you one of the times when we started him, and we continued him for quite a while. He had loads of freaking adventures, and Howard was like, I need a con artist. Bring Butch, and I was just like, I got to convert him to, because you were doing D20 at that point. I was like, we got to convert him to D20. He's like, you're like, I got this. I was like, all right, what am I doing? And basically, like my whole thing was I was hired up to go
rob a vault.
Yeah, rob a vault at a Hutt's hideout. So I pretended to. I took the persona because I was a con artist. I was really good at taking personas. So I took this persona as this archaeological professor. This Giles bumbling idiot.
Yep.
And hired the player characters to take me to the planet that the Hutt was on, but at the ruins, knowing that we would get caught by the Hutt, get captured, get in there, so I could get in there, steal it.
You got yourself captured. That was you knew the Hutt was going to come after you. You got yourself captured, knowing the player characters were going to come rescue you.
My ass. That's right.
So you get thrown into interrogation. They cut off your ear. I mean, they freaking cut off your character's ear, and the whole time you're crying, you're babbling, playing the whole thing, and then the player characters attacked. Then the Fire Nation attacked, and they're outside just raining hell down in the Hutt defenses trying to rescue you. The Hutts are like, well, just lock this dude in a closet. We'll go take care of these,
Like, literally, they tossed me in a closet. It wasn't a cell, it was a closet.
They put him in a closet because he's just bumbling professor. And the whole time, Byron is, like, playing it up in-game, like, whatever. And then as soon as the player character's on, he goes, well, that took longer than expected. And he takes his ear, puts it on ice. He just puts it in a Ziploc once he grabs some ice. He breaks out of the lock, breaks into the vault. He's missing an ear, breaks into the vault, steals what he's got to steal. And in the meantime, the player characters are totally unaware of all this stuff's going on. Then steals a ship and flies away, goes to a med center and gets his ear reattached. And, like, right as he's flying out, he sends them a message, be like, thanks, guys, peace, try not to die. And they were like, wait. What just happened? Oh, it's brilliant. Best ever. But no, Skipper Dan is a close second.
I would have to say, yeah, Skipper Dan is a second. The Admiral definitely.
Okay.
Because I love how I introduced myself with that one. Because I looked at you and I was like, okay, dude, I'm going to be tapping like most of your freaking universe. Yep. And he was like, go for it. I was like, all right. So I called up like every major NPC he has in his freaking universe for this one meeting.
My favorite thing that and if you recall, as the game progressed and you went back home, I would continue to call you up with updates and get your, what would you decide to do?
Get my input.
Yeah, you continue to basically govern that character for years afterwards by proxy.
Actually,
But
after a while, you pretty much took full reign because I actually had forgotten about him a bit. But then you would call him up, you and I'd be talking, and he'd come up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, how's that going?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, he rules pretty much half the universe now." And I was
oh
like, "Oh
no,
okay."
my favorite moment was with Corsair. Is there was a composite fleet and a bunch of enemies and people who hated each other working together, and there was a coup, right? And he had been laying this groundwork. There was one section of the fleet that he wanted to destroy because he knew they were eventually going to turn on him. So he orchestrated that. He basically maneuvered all the player characters around to get them in the right positions, get like alliances going, and then he actually was the one who sparked the revolution. And they marched on the bridge. They arrested him and they threw him in the brig. And Corsair is sitting in the brig, just like literally, they've got cameras on the whole on doors. Chiss Admiral just sitting or Corsair just sitting in the brig. And while he was in the brig, his plan, like him being arrested, started the plan. He had a contingency plan he'd been doing for 6 months, real time. As soon as he was arrested, the plan kicked off. And basically, he eliminated the enemy faction. He took over the fleet. He gained an alliance, defeated one of his major enemies, and basically took the one-player character who was holding out, that was not obeying him, basically freed him from jail and said, "I will follow you because you're the only one who can do this." And he walks out of the jail cell. The entire mission he did sitting in a jail cell, just smiling at the
no
cameras.
contact,
No contact,
no visitors, no nothing.
Yep. Yeah, it was so awesome. Like, that was like one of the most coolest things I've ever seen. The player character's like, he's doing all of this. How is he doing this? And I'm like, it's Corsair. He's Grand Admiral Thrawn on crack.
And better. Because I didn't punk out and die.
So no, you've only gotten to Wednesday, dude. You haven't gotten Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting there. So yeah, Thursday we went to Taiki. Finally saw Taiki's. Finally actually seen Howard's holy ground.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta tell you, first and foremost, it is a gaming store to the nth degree. It was small. It was crammed. It was a little stinky. It was a gaming store.
Yep.
However, he has more stock than I have seen in any gaming store ever. In fact, you could probably take my 2 to 3 favorite gaming stores, cram them together, and you might have enough stock then was what he had on his shelves. I was sitting there looking around, I was just like, this has got to be a fucking nightmare for do inventory. Like, where is everything? I was like, is there any, like, rhyme or reason? I started noticing a bit of a pattern. I was like, okay, like the miniature stuff is over there, board game stuff is over there, and you got the wall, gaming in the terms of like tabletop stuff going from like, every which way.
Do you know, like in high school, like your mom would say to clean up your room and it'd be a disaster, but you knew where everything was?
Yep.
Basically, that's regular. Like if we're sitting there and you're like, dude, I want X game, I could go on the shelf and get it for you. Like, I know where everything is.
You were running a game.
Oh, dude, I freaking, like, yes. He has more stock, and he has the most esoteric random crap from, like the 70s and 80s, like some, like, golden age gaming crap. You never know what you're going to find.
He had a couple of old, like, late 80s, early 90s anime t-shirts.
Yep.
Damn.
Just hanging up there.
That's great stuff, dude. And that game was pretty cool.
That game was. I actually made a Shintar version of my Farm Boy Paladin, and apparently the dice wanted to make sure that I was definitely playing a Farm Boy Paladin.
Yep.
Because I couldn't roll worth shit.
It was hilarious.
For like most of the evening.
Hey, but you lived.
Yeah. How did that wrap up? I mean, did you all continue that one at all yet, or?
Oh, I mean, we will. I mean, it's on pause right now.
Okay, you haven't yet.
Remember, it's a round robin thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I missed last week's. I don't know what the hell they played last week's. This week is, I think, Shadowrun maybe, or I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, your character just sitting around doing nothing?
Yes! Another game of my character sitting on the deck of a ship drinking beer and fishing. Like, any Shadowrun game where the entirety of the 4 hours that you're there, all your character does is drink beer and fish, something's wrong.
Yes,
Something's really wrong.
Very.
Although I did enjoy
although it's easy money for your character, so
dude, I got paid 15,000 new yen to fire a single shot.
I remember. So yeah, Taiki's was cool. And then Friday, I actually ran Liz, Howard, and Ricky in a test run of a pre-gen I'm working on, and got some good feed. We weren't able to finish it, unfortunately, but I got some good feedback.
All I have
So
to
that
say
was good.
about that game was awkward boner.
Eh, jerk.
No, you put me and Ricky in a game.
Yeah. So okay. And actually, the only other thing gaming wise I've done since then is the Epic game. We actually were able to get a session of that in. Although we did a session while down in Georgia too, but or was that no? That was the only session we've done, hasn't it?
That was the only session we did. The last session we had to cancel, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. So, but hopefully this weekend
Yay!
we'll get things going again, and I'm gonna fuck with all your characters.
Yay!
All y'all. Oh, especially Howard.
Yay!
I am so screwing with Howard with all your characters, but especially Kieran.
Is he gonna make another enemy go poof?
Far from it. What the heck? Ah, okay. We apparently lost Howard.
Oh no.
Yeah, and said net down, keep going. So we will keep going. So, hang on. So what about you, Puff?
Well,
Anything?
obviously Epic Game, which was quite enjoyable. We obviously had our tech issues, but that was
When don't we have? It's like the freaking podcast. When don't we have tech issues?
You know what? I think we had more of an abundance of tech issues because we were originally trying to make that an episode for the podcast, and it was just riddled with tech issues.
Yeah, that didn't work too well.
Bad.
I'm gonna kind of forget that I recorded that one.
That game was rather enjoyable for the most part because we're currently in my character Ella's hometown, and it has vastly changed from what she remembers, and so that was a bit jarring and just a little fun because that way it throws my character off. Off balance and everything.
Overall, it's changed in a good way, though.
Oh, yes. That we can tell so far. So far. Basically, one of our group members, Hadassah, was able to sneak into the new mayor's office. And, yeah, and we think he might be some kind of a demon or something. Something's not right with this guy. So, my whole standpoint is basically, if he's just some, demon thing that's like, you know what, I was tired of not having something of mine to rule over or whatever, and now I have it, and everything is great, this town is awesome, we're making money, yada yada, blah blah blah, and that's just what I'm doing. Let him stay.
Oh, is it ever that simple, though, Paul?
No, but it's not. With you, it's not. So hopefully Saturday we're going to find out what's going on. Ella's parents, her father was, she left and he was blacksmith, and now, it's Lord and Lady. And they gave my character Ella a house, so she's just like, oh my god, I have a house. Oh crap, I'm going to leave. What am I going to do with my house?
I'll just lock it up till you return.
Yeah.
Who knows? By the end of all this, you might have a bigger house.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's going pretty good. That session was really, aside from tech issues, which I'm used to those happen. That session was really, 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 really fun to do. I thought everybody was, not everybody really had anything to really do yet in that one, which, unfortunately, our tech issues really zapped some of our time.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm hoping next session though we can, get everybody, doing something that they would want to do or at least have fun doing. So hopefully that works out.
Hope so.
Yeah, was a little bummed we didn't play Saturday, but
Yeah, I was too, but there was a couple of compounds of issues, and I think you all will enjoy it. Well, one of the issues was I wasn't quite as prepared as I really felt I should have been, and I am now, so I'm hoping it'll be worth the wait.
I'm sure it will be, and I'll be at my aunt's house sitting, and
Huh?
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back. It's an official episode now.
Tech issues.
Yep.
They abound. Yes, epic game. Awesome. Ready for another one.
And we still need to try to finish your, if everyone wants to, but we still need to try to finish your Resident Evil game.
I definitely want to finish it, but I completely understand if, Miri and Liz might not want to finish it. I'm not going to be offended.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Seeming like Howard may not be able to get back on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's going to kind of suck. But the show must go on. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to what gaming he's been doing, aside from the week that I was down there with him. So, but let me see what he. Okay, he says, "Hang on." Oh please! Oh please! Oh please! Oh please!
Give us a Howard. Give us a Howard. Give us a Howard.
Howard, 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 Howard.
Hopefully it works.
It's like Bloody Mary or something, you go in the bathroom, look in the mirror, say his name 3 times. Howard, Howard, Howard. Hey, it worked! You with us, dude?
Yep, I'm playing the fun game where, like, the net's fine until I try to use it, and then it cuts out.
Oh, wonderful.
But I'm back for the time being.
Okay, well, what kind of gaming have you been doing outside of the week that I was down there visiting? Go.
Okay, so Shinetar, we did a conclave of. I didn't do a conclave of gamers. Sean Patrick Fannin has just moved to Denver, and he got there in time to do conclave of gamers in Denver with Sean Gore. It was a huge week-long thing, 7 games in a convention run by 2 GMs. It was awesome. What I did was a global collaborative Rangers at Large Roll20 game with a bunch of major players in Shinetar with some pretty powerful characters. And what I did is I did a home game. I collaborated with Sean Gore. I did my home game on Roll20 running war supplies to the front lines as a prequel to the convention happening in Denver.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yes. So basically a bunch of home games from all over the world got together on Roll20. Like I had like 7 or 8 players in Roll20. Sean Patrick Fannin himself showed up. And we got the supplies, got attacked, the wagons got burned, all this shit happened, and we got the goods to there. I gave them an itemized list of every bit of supplies, the number of oxen they got, the pounds of flour, the pounds of grain, everything. And I supplied them with that, and then in the games they were using the supplies and talking about the supplies, and it was basically a prequel collaborative event online using Roll20 to feed into an in-person Conclave of Gamers Denver convention. That was freaking awesome.
Nice.
And last night I just ran my Shinetar game for my peeps, the follow-up to your game.
Cool.
Apparently both you and Ricky's character are both going after Ella, which is hilarious.
Yeah, my character not so much anymore.
Yeah, he got shot down hard, dude. Like he went
Oh,
down
he
in
did?
flames. Oh yeah, tail on fire, went down in flames. He even got mocked by an ogre. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yes, yes, he
Okay,
burned.
okay. After seeing it, if I don't see like him trying to go after her anymore, I might try to pick that up again. But after I was seeing like the interaction between those two, I was like, yep, nope, I ain't got a chance. All right, never
Well,
mind.
no, but like she doesn't seem interested in either of you. Like she honestly doesn't.
Eh, yeah, but see, here's the thing. If nothing happens with it, I'm cool with that.
Of course, it's the first one of you to draw the love interest adventure card. Whoever pulls it out first, whoever whips it out first, gets it. But anyway, that game, last night's game, was really awesome. Of course, we lost one player. He quit the game. He had personal issues he had to deal with, so that was sad. But it continued on. Wolfhaven's got a house. All the building projects started, and we had our first character in cap in like the Shinetar games. Ricky's now in Savage Worlds. Like when I was learning Savage, because keep in mind, as you well know, I didn't know anything about Savage Worlds when I started with Shinetar, right? A
Right.
year ago, just about a year ago, actually, just a little over a year ago. I knew nothing about Savage Worlds, so I bought the core book, took it home, and I started reading. I read it cover to cover like 3 or 4 times, and when I got to the incapacitation, because in Savage Worlds it's a little more gritty. So not gritty. It's a little more punky in the sense that your characters don't just die. It's not like you take a number of hit points, you -9, boom, you're dead. In Savage Worlds, if you take more than 4 wounds or more than 3 wounds, 4 more wounds, you become incapacitated, and then you immediately roll a vigor test. If you roll a natural 1 on your vigor test, no matter what you do, you die, dead, no recovery. In Shinetai, there is no resurrection, so if you die, you die. 2, if you fail, you can live, but when you roll on the incap table, it becomes a permanent wound forever, and it can be grievous. If you succeed, a simple success, it's a wound. It lasts like a year, and it can cause problems. If you roll with a success, it goes away in 24 hours to whatever wounds you get, or when you get fully healed of the damage. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to the incap table, and you roll 2d6, and if you get 2 nat 1s, you get whacked in the unmentionables. That's actually in the core book. I remember I had this whole giddy thing about this. Okay, wait. The statistical possibility of getting whacked in the gonads is so low as to be almost not worth mentioning, except it
That's
happened.
what Ricky did.
Ricky got stabbed right in the groin.
Oh,
Critically hit, dropped him in a single hit.
oh, sucks to be him.
Oh yes, Ricky and we rolled it all out, and he rolled on the chart. I'm like, "Yep, you just got stabbed in the groin." And he looked at me, and I'm like, "You're down. You're bleeding out." He goes, "I'm gonna go smoke." He just puts the character sheet down and walks outside to go cry. It was awesome.
Oh my goodness.
And the last thing that was said as he's walking out the door, Kelly's like, "Well, I guess we understand why Ella's not interested in you." And I was like, "Oh, feel the burn."
Ow.
But fortunately, he had a fairy in his hat, and she laid on hands to heal him, which was a little awkward. And now he can't look Flit in the eye anymore. But there's that. There's a little awkwardness there. But other than that, yes, it worked out great. They managed to fight off the Thrachin. You remember? I threw Thrachin at them. You remember Thrachin? Little goat guys, teleporters. The teleporters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, I threw those at this party. Man, it did not go well for them. They won. Unfortunately, the prisoner that they were actually escorting escaped while they were being attacked by the Thrachin.
Oh shit.
Yes, high-level Prelacy captain got away. Now they got to track him down and catch him before he escapes, because if he escapes, it's going to be bad for everybody.
Yep.
So that was cool. Really haven't done anything with Star Wars since your game because of other issues.
Right.
Just scheduling. I mean, schedule death. Haven't done anything at Taiki's against schedule death. God, how you have? It's not been long since you've been gone, has it?
Not really.
What is it? 2 weeks? Week and a half?
I was there. Shoot. Hang on. I was down there the week of the 14th. So yeah, it's been about 2 weeks. Well, I mean, I was there a week. It's been a week and we're coming into the second week since I've been down
In
there.
the week after the game, I had done so much gaming with you. There's like schedule issues with people. That's why. So basically, it's mostly Shine Tar that I've been doing. I haven't really been doing much else. But dude, the Conclave of Gamers prequel like tie-in thing was one of the coolest things I've done for Shine Tar. So there you go.
Awesome. Oh, all right. Well, let's actually get into some meat here.
You know, considering our previous conversation, can you rephrase that?
Sorry.
Rephrase?
No. All right. So, given the subject matters that each of us had, I want to go last. But I think Howard's would be a little quicker than yours, Puff. So I don't know who wants to go first.
I'll go first, and we'll get mine out of the way.
Okay. Is that all right, Puff?
That's perfectly fine.
Cool. All right. Go, Howard.
Okay, so I do a lot of convention stuff, and I do a lot of talks at conventions, and I've played a lot of games. And it's kind of interesting where there's certain people who, for whatever reason, are really, really prejudiced against what I would call mainstream games. What I mean by mainstream is I'm talking about D20, D10 like White Wolf, and then moving into some other systems. I would actually say that Savage Worlds is somewhat mainstream now. It's gotten large enough where it's kind of getting there. And then of course you have the indie games, homebrew games, indie games, small game companies that and they're a dime a dozen. I mean, there's so many out there. Like, I mean, it boggles the mind. And it's interesting because I know some like hipster purists who only play indie games. Like, I don't like. I've heard people say I don't play D20 games, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or they'll be, and of course Shadowrun also goes to the D6 Shadowrun. Or they'll be like, I don't do White Wolf games. I don't play the mainstream games. I only play indie games because I'm cool like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I hear other people who are like, they're like, what do you play? I'm like, I play D20. I'm like, well, have you tried anything else? No, I play D20, and only D20. All of the games are inferior to D20. All hail the D20. And I'm like, oh well, cool. And it's interesting because I've played most of the major games, Shadowrun, a plethora of D20 systems. I've played basically everything in the Exalted or in the White Wolf library, and I've played some indie games. Like, I've played some really esoteric homebrew stuff. My actually favorite game system of all time is called Imagine. It's a local game system based here in Georgia, and I love the system. I've never played a game of it, just because A, no one plays it, B, it's so complex, but it's very realistic. So it's interesting to sort of, for me, the dichotomy. And then you have something like Fate, and I would say that Fate up until recently was fairly indie. Would y'all not agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it picked up Dresden. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden, it just jumped into the mainstream. And
Yep.
I would say that with Fate and Fate Accelerated and Fate Core, that Fate has sort of slid over to the mainstream side. I wouldn't consider it an indie game anymore because it's got such brand recognition from Dresden and from the new Fate and Fate Accelerated.
Well, it also kind of depends on what what the definition of mainstream and indie is.
True.
Because in gaming, that is a very gray definition.
It is. It is.
And Fate's actually a great example of it. Because on the one hand, you're right, Fate has especially because Fred Hicks is A, freaking awesome, and B, knew Jim Butcher personally, so it was kind of easy for them to actually. Jim Butcher went to Fred and was like, look, I've got people pining for the RPG rights for my books, but I want to make sure I give it to someone who's going to do it right. You want it? And Fred was like, cha. So, but so I mean, yeah, I mean, hell, the first year the Dresden came out, I mean, with Gen Con coming up, of course, the Indy Awards, which is the gaming Oscars, pretty much.
Yep.
Freaking Evil Hat and the Dresden RPG and Fate freaking took the indies that year by storm.
And
I mean,
that's when they became mainstream, because they picked up a mainstream franchise. Dresden Files had a TV series and a book series, and by picking up that franchise, the Fate system, in my opinion, jumped mainstream.
But see, here's the thing: they still run the company like it's an indie, though.
But they have now entered the mainstream because they are playing a franchise game based off of a successful book series and a successful TV series.
Okay, so well, as much as I actually like the Dresden TV series, successful is a little arguable. But
Hey, Serenity lasted a season, and I would say
actually,
it was
Serenity
successful.
didn't even last a full season.
And would you not say it was successful? So
It is
airtime,
well, it is now.
but see, airtime doesn't matter. My point is, and you have a good example. Fate as the system was fairly indie, and then
Yeah.
they picked up a license of a major, what I would consider a fairly major, product line or
Yeah.
contract or whatever license, and bam, mainstream. It's interesting.
So you're considering mainstream in the terms of how well known the name is.
It kind of yes,
Okay.
because
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
is the grandfather. So Dungeons and Dragons is just name recognition ridiculously.
Yeah.
Star Wars, anything that picked up Star Wars, gets that name brand recognition, becomes somewhat mainstream. Shadowrun is also a titan in the industry. White Wolf is a titan for the horror. So
Well, White Wolf was. Unfortunately, White Wolf has seen better days.
true, but it's you walk into a gaming group and you say do you know White Wolf, and people are like, yeah, I know White Wolf. I haven't
Yeah.
played it, but I know it.
Yeah.
Then you walk into the thing and say, have you ever heard of Imagine? Well, what's Imagine? Or
Imagine.
what the heck was that? I played a game called, I can't remember if it was like Blackberry or something like that. Or how about Sea Dracula?
Ahua.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. So
Okay.
you have that's what the difference between mainstream and not is. Indie games are the ones that have very very little name recognition. They're small independent companies versus ones that have gained licenses for like well-known franchises, or they themselves are a huge well-known franchise. Hang on
Mhm.
one second. So, but what's interesting,
Tell Ricky we said hey.
they say, hey, what's interesting is the fact is that with gamers you have these camps of people who are either purists one way or purists the other way, and and what's interesting about the indie games, which I don't actually play a lot of indie games, not because I don't want to, it's just because I have a limited amount of time. Bottom one, dude. I have a limited amount of time, and so I can't play everything I want to play. But the indie games, they're the pioneers, because keep in mind, every mainstream game started indie.
Yep.
And what's interesting to me is the people who don't play indie games. Like, I don't play indie games, and I'm like, why not? Like, what is your prejudice against indie games? Because everyone started this way.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you talk about the people who only play indie games, and like, when people tell me I don't play D20, I always look at them, I'm like, why? And people are like, well, I don't like the mechanics. I'm like yes, but D20 is the single most recognized game system that we've got.
Here,
Yeah.
here.
More systems in D20 than all the other ones almost put together. I mean, that's a slight exaggeration, but I'm like, it is the titan. It is the foundation of our. It did.
Well, no. I was to say in D20, you got to be careful with that one too, because D20 has its own purists even amongst itself, because you've got the old the old schoolers, the AD&D, the three the three.
Well, I realize
the
that.
four.
No, and I realize that. But what we're talking about is for me, it's interesting for me, the dichotomy, because I do a lot of conventions where there's like the indie game people and the mainstream game people, and what I'm trying to say is that I'm curious about the mindset of those who would play one or not the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would you guys think that someone would make that distinction where they would play one or not the other? They're like, I don't do this or I don't do that. I don't understand that mindset.
In the terms of like a grouping, in the terms of like mainstream or indie, my understanding gets a little hazy. I mean, I can kind of maybe think up of a thing or two. I can understand some people be like, well, I don't play this particular system or that particular system, and there can actually be a plethora of reasons as to why. They could have had a bad experience. They may not like the mechanics. The GM they had could have been shit. The group they had could have been bad. Because I've had some people, actually Chris and Tim being great examples. Originally, Chris and Tim were like, we hate 3.5. We absolutely hate it. And I was like, why? And I was like, oh, the one game I found out they played under one GM, and I knew the guy, and the guy was a dick. So I was like, okay, no, guys, you're gonna play 3.5. You're gonna play 3.5 under me, and they think it's great now. But but in the terms of like indie and mainstream, I can understand the mentality somewhat in the terms of I'll play mainstream, but I won't play indie. Actually, I can kind of understand a bit of both. Um, at least the way I see it, and Puff, you can chime in with your stuff here, in a sec. Um, in the terms of like I only play mainstream, it's pretty much kind of almost the mentality of I only want to be the cool kid, but the popular kid. Yeah, I want to be in the popular group. I only play the popular games. Whereas the indie ones are more kind of like the hipsters. There's like I'm doing something different because I can, and screw the man, screw the big machine. I'm picking with the little guy. Unfortunately, that's about all I've got with that one.
My turn?
Yep.
Well, I can expand upon that. Some people are also limited to the groups that they RP with. Me, for example, I pretty much have nobody in the vicinity of where I actually live, other than you 2 hours away from me, that I game with. So you could be limited just based on what kind of gets rotated around within your specific group, maybe?
So basically you're saying like I won't play that just because I've never have and haven't been exposed to it. Kind of what you're getting at.
Kind of like yeah, like that. Maybe not so much that I will never play it. Just I don't know if I'll play it because.
Well, I mean that's kind of what Howard's originally going is the people that are like I'll never play indie games. Why? I mean, I don't know.
I hope I'm not stepping on like the host's toes by issuing a challenge to like our listener base and gamers everywhere. Do you mind if I do this?
Dude, you're the co-host. Go.
I've seen lists of like 100 games you have to play, and I know Brian loves to post these things like I want to play all these games, and I'm like holy crap, 100 different systems, that's freaking insane. I mean, in a lifetime maybe, but I mean it's not something. But
or a long stint of unemployment, Glenn Welsh.
There you go. But here's the thing. Here's my challenge. If all you've ever played is D20, World of Darkness, Savage War, or not Savage Worlds, Shadowrun, like the big games, I challenge you, even people in this group, to go find some of the indie games. To go find some. I'm talking about the real, like the real small mom and pops, like the one book games, the games that are released, the defunct games that get released every year, that get tried out and fail. It's kind of like Lady Blackbird. That's what I was trying to think of. Lady Blackbird is a great. It actually was based off of Fate. It was or similar to. There's been some other like Fairy Meat, which is something Superpowers, things I'd love to play, like spoofs on like other genres. All Flesh Must Be Eaten if you're a horror fan, if you're a zombie fan. I mean, have you ever heard of that, dude?
Yep.
I want to play it in that so bad.
See?
Yeah.
See? So what I challenge people to do is if you've only played the big names, try getting your hands on, maybe, pool your resources together. There's a lot of them are free online. I mean, like at this point,
or at least cheap.
Or cheap.
Yeah.
Get it together with a group of friends or your regular gamer group. Take a pause from the games you normally do and try playing one of these indie games. And if God forbid you're a hipster, because there are hipster gamers, and like you have never touched you don't touch the big. Try them, because
actually, and here's the greatest thing. The newest version of D&D, which they're calling just Dungeons and Dragons. It's not 5th edition. It's not the beta test name was D&D Next, but it is just they're calling it just D&D, but it's pretty much 5th edition. It's D&D Next, whatever you want to call it. It is out now. And not only that, and I love Wizard. And for those listeners who have been with us for quite some time, they will probably have a stroke when I say this. I love Wizards with what they've done with this new system, and I've shit talked Wizards quite a bit on this podcast. But I love what
I said. Yes, you have.
I love the fact that though the core, like the starter box set is out, and they're going to be releasing like a core book and then like an adventure book, a core book and adventure book, and I've seen the prices of what like the core books are supposed to be, and they're expensive as hell. But The core rules, the basic rules, are free to download on PDF through Wizards website.
I
And
was
they're
actually, I was actually going to say another reason why people probably stick to whatever it is that they stick to, especially if it's mainstream. There's more content for mainstream games because they have more money to put out more product.
that's
So
that is a good possibility. But see, I'm one of those that although I don't mind a canonical setting, I love making up my own shit or twisting, canon to make it my own. Which is why I was saying for all those hipsters, go and download the base rules of D&D. I was a part of the beginning of the playtest, and I've played the latest version of the playtest at actually 1D4Con in April, which is I think pretty much what got published. I haven't actually had a chance to really look through the rules yet, but I like what they've done with D&D now. And I mean it's free, so just go download it, and it's just the base rules. There's no setting information, which might toss someone, a loop, especially for starting a new game. But I mean, if you got a GM that's like maybe created their own world, if they're willing, have them kind of make some of their world in the D20 stats and give it a try. Because I mean, honestly, what are you going to lose? You're going to lose maybe a night or two of gaming. You can go back to your other stuff, but at least then you could say I've actually tried it.
Yep.
And the same with the indie stuff too, because like Howard was saying, a lot of the indie stuff is free or dirt cheap.
Yep.
Because I mean, they're just out there trying to put their stuff out there, and actually, I'm going to be there, hopefully within the next year, with my own stuff. So,
hey, good segue into your project.
Well, into my project, but not my talking point. So, although we have actually mentioned something that'll segue into Puffs here in a second, but, yeah, I definitely second that challenge. If you are, I only, especially if you're also, I only played this one system, screw the others. Get again, if you've listened to this podcast enough, I am the D6 Nazi. I honestly feel that there is nothing that D6 can't do without, just a little tweaking, or at least enough tweaking. I still play Pathfinder. I actually just started up a Besom game with my wife, Big Eye Small Mouth, which was kind of indie, kind of mainstream, and then died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, I would actually love to kick up a Star Trek game again using the actual old Last Unicorn Star Trek rules.
Yes.
I'd love to actually run a vampire game that lasts more than a frickin' session, because I've tried it twice, and it's one session each, and that's it. Even my Besom games have lasted a little longer than that.
I'd be down for that.
So yeah, I am the D6 Nazi, but even then, I still play other systems, because although I feel D6 can do anything that any of those other systems do, some of those systems are particularly geared for what they're going for, and either by setting or by mechanics or both. And that therefore, if you're if you're really in the mood for a horror game, yeah, you can use D6, but you know what? Vampire's kind of geared towards it, so if you want high fantasy, go with D&D or Pathfinder or whatever. If you want slapstick funny, get Cyrus, and then get Besom.
Oh God, what is it? Sea Dracula.
What is Sea Dracula?
Have you never heard of Sea Dracula?
No.
Okay, real quick. Dracula.
Wait. Before you continue, just don't do Fate. Not Fate. Fatal. Yeah, do
Fatal.
Fate's cool.
I have the core rule Fatal if anyone wants to gouge their eyes out.
Yeah, I've got it too, and oh god.
I know, right?
Anyway, continue.
So Sea Dracula. As I understand it, I've never played it, but I have some friends who've run it. You play an anthropomorphic talking animal. Sea Dracula being the judge, and you are trying a case. You're a lawyer. All the player characters are lawyers, and they're lawyers on representing parties in some case. In the case, that's part of the game. That's the build up to the game. There's a cooperative way of creating the case of what's being. Is this a is this a murder or is this a suicide or is this a robbery or whatever, and it's built into the system. And then you basically you present your cases and you go in turns doing so. And the way you do it, it's a diceless system. The way you present your case is through interpretive dance.
What?
Yes, music and interpretive dancing. It's the dancing lawyer anthropomorphic animal RPG. See Dracula. Dead silence. It's hard to shut you up, man, but I got you.
Uh-huh. 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 Actually, I just realized I forgot something of gaming that I have done, but anyway.
Apparently there's a French See Dracula as well. But anyway, yes, it is the dancing role-playing game, See Dracula. Look it up! If you're a listener out there and don't look up Fatal. If you're a listener out there and you like random stuff, look up See Dracula. If you'd like to run it, great! Take some video. Post it up on our fan stuff. Send us links, whole 9 yards. I would love to see some of you out there playing this game. You will never catch me playing this game. Not because I'm prejudiced against indie games. I'm just prejudiced against interpretive dancing.
I can pantomime. I can't exactly interpretive dance, though.
So, anyway.
The anthropomorphic Law and Order RPG done by interpretive dance. Yeah, that... Right, so, Puff! I'm shutting Howard up on that now.
I think.
Wait, what?
Oh,
Lord. Liz just walked behind me, past me going, I want to play that now. You know what, hun? Howard gave me a link. I will give you the freaking link to see Dracula. Howard, shut up. All right, so Puff.
I think my brain's broken.
Honestly, I don't blame you.
I used to take tap dance lessons when I was a kid. Does that count?
Hey, it'll help you out.
It could, yeah. Really could.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Fine.
So, Puff, now, Puff, your topic can be rather big. I mean, this could probably take a whole nother freaking episode. But, so, I mean, if you still want to do it, we can.
I say do it.
Okay.
Well, we could do that one, or I kind of had another idea for a topic, kind of approaching love interests within RP groups.
Go!
Okay. All right.
We'll save the other one. Go!
All right. Obviously, I am a female gamer. No one's very shocked or surprised.
One would hope.
I'm pretty sure I'm a chick, last I checked. Anyway.
Oh my.
Obviously, in games, sometimes when the campaign goes on, some characters end up, kind of crushing, kind of digging on each other, what have you. And,
hopefully not forced upon.
Yeah. With me, if my character's kind of, checking somebody out, I politely let the player character know, hey, my character kind of feeling yours. What are your thoughts on here? And if that person says, nope, my character is not into girls, my character is not into your character, blah, 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 I respect that. There are some people that don't respect that, and thankfully I have not been with too many of that type of scenario, aside from when I was doing forum RPs. Yeah. That's kind of fun. But...
As in not.
Yeah, as in not. Because it's cool as long as, the other person is just like, all right, look, I'm kind of going to set it up that my character has a crush on you. Can we play it off as an unrequited thing so I can do a plot, whatever thing? That's cool. Talk it out. Awesome. But if I flat out tell you my character doesn't want to be with your character, and your character is constantly like hitting on my character after she's shut you down or he has shut you down. No. Like, there should be some decorum, people. Decorum.
Give it a rest and no revenge actions either.
Exactly, be adult about it, and don't blindside people either, tell somebody, like I said, hey, my character is kind of crushing on your character, instead of, just, okay, all of a sudden we're, in game and your character just blurts out that they're in love with my character. I'm gonna be like, what? I didn't approve this. um So yeah, that's definitely something that, again, relationships do happen and they should be encouraged. That's another bonding, and another part of just the whole RP experience. But treat people with respect.
Yeah, and I haven't had I haven't had this instance in the terms of a player. However, as a GM, I've had to deal with this a couple of times. The wrong end of what she's talking about. Actually, unfortunately, Liz has been the brunt of two of the times. Unfortunately.
Uh-oh.
Hmm?
I said, uh-oh.
Yeah. And one of which was just downright wrong, and the other which was just like, dude, really? You're gonna try to? No. I actually had to. I claimed for other reasons, but that was one of the reasons why I actually killed the whole freaking game, because I saw where he was trying to go with it, and Liz caught on, and she's like, "What the hell?" And I'm just like, you know what? No. I mean, I had other reasons too, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was just like, you know what? Yeah, no, this game's done. And the other one actually was on the finale game anyway, and because of that, one of the players was like, you know what, I'm going to do something completely and utterly random and attempt something that really should not be done, and And in fact, that one was the only time I've actually shown favoritism to Liz in an RP, was to get her character out of that situation.
Now speaking of relationships, and Byron, I think you've had this before. One thing I have with relationships in games, I have an issue with is, have you ever had a couple have characters and they come to their game and they're like, oh, we're a couple, we're so in love, we want to have our characters be together, and I'm like, that's cool and all. That's great chemistry, but what happens when you two have a fight? It's going to happen, and then you don't want to talk to each other, and then you come to my game and you screw up my game because your characters, or because the players don't want to talk to each other. So the characters all of a sudden in the middle of a scene have no reason to do so, sniping at each other. I'm like, have you ever had that experience?
Actually, no. Thankfully.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
I have had the whole, oh, we're a couple. Not usually been husband and wife up until recently, and I'll get to that in a second. I usually have had the oh, we're dating, couple, and we want our characters to be together too. Thankfully, either those games didn't last long enough, or the couples were actually like strong enough or good enough gamers that even when they were having a tiff, they didn't let it bleed into game, and actually, I was actually kind of surprised. Believe it or not, and I know he's going to be, at least he's going to be listening to this. She might as well. Matt and Allison. I actually was kind of almost anticipating their characters hooking up in the Epic game, and I was actually very surprised. Not only that they did not, but Allison actually specifically said. I remember her specifically saying, she's like, I do not want to hook up with Matt's character. I do not want to hook up with Othello. I was just like, wow, okay, rock on. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't like a, oh damn, kind of moment. I was and maybe that was almost, prejudicial. I don't know what the actual prejudice of me to kind of assume that was going to be the way. But that was kind of the experience I'd had with them in previous games. Because either with one of them running and one of them being the player, usually the one that was being the player was hooking up with an NPC, And I believe it's rare. Unfortunately, it's been rare that I've been in a game where both of them have been players. So I'm actually trying to think of a time where it was. And aside from like Allison filling in for a role for a session or two, I'm trying to think of. Actually, I don't think I have. So it was just my experience with them before had always been like that. So I was kind of almost assuming it was going to, and it's not. And I'm actually cool with that. I'm great. I'm like, hey, wonderful, sweet. Player characters how you want. Um, I mean that's kind of a good part of this, but yeah, I mean I unfortunately yeah, well thankfully I haven't had like a couple get into a tiff and then therefore their player their characters start tiffing for no reason whatsoever. Tiffing, is that even a word?
No.
Yeah, well.
But it is now.
Apparently.
And
So.
I'm Byron. I've never had that happen in my GMing experience. But that also brings into another point, because bringing up Matt and Allison, my character and Matt's character are hooking up. And Matt and Allison and I, we've known each other for a while and everything, and
Although I think this is one of the first times you've actually gamed with Allison, though.
This is where she's been a player. She's been I've played in games where she's GM'd.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, continue.
Yep, that's perfectly fine. So when it was first kind of brought up that Othello was digging my character Ella, she was right there, and she was like, no, my character is not hooking up with Othello. Go right ahead. I would not have proceeded forward without some sort of blessing from Allison, because I don't find it cool for for a chick to RP and any type of relationship other than like being friend, comrade kind of thing with another chick's man. I'm not cool with that.
Yeah, well, obviously without the blessings, and I'm glad you did that, because actually when it's funny you bring that up, because the first game I ran with Matt, actually how I met Matt, was my Star Wars game down in North Carolina, and Liz was playing Andromeda, her Mariluka Jedi, and Matt was playing a Mon Calamarian. And actually, I love how he later told me he picked Mon Calamarian to try to avoid the romantic subplot. And I'm like, yeah, dude, no. But when Liz's character, informed Liz that she was kind of digging Matt's character, she actually approached Matt about it, because we knew Matt was dating Allison at the time, and she even, and Matt even went to Allison and was like, hey, is it okay? Because this was in person, which can be drastically different than doing online. Because online, there's still distance.
Exactly.
And Allison, and in this instance, Allison was still at school, or I think she was still at school elsewhere. So, like, Matt was here in town with us. He and Allison, though, communicated regularly, didn't see each other in person very often. At the time. So, so Liz brought it up to Matt, and she was like, how you feeling about this? Do you think this is cool? And of course, he was kind of blindsided, because he was like, I picked the Mon Cal to try to avoid this. And I actually pointed out, I was like, actually in canon, there is a human and a Mon Calamarian that dig each other at one point. And he was like, oh, shut up. But he went to Allison, and Allison, Allison gave her blessing. And then Allison actually showed up and sat in on a game, and that is when Liz actually had her character kind of profess her feelings to Matt's character right before they charged into battle. Mm-hmm. And apparently Allison got very miffed, which kind of threw us a bit for a loop, because we were like, she gave her okay, and I mean it later worked out that she was okay with it and everything was cool, but I think just she kind of, I guess just because of what happened in the game and whatnot, Liz actually said, she's like, although in the game the timing was good, to do that out of game might not have been. And actually, like, when Matt found out that when Matt informed us, or informed Liz that Allison actually had kind of gotten a little upset about that, they backed things off a bit
Mm-hmm.
for a little while, until Allison did confirm, yeah, yes, I'm okay with it. Um, so and that's good form. If a significant other is all of a sudden like, I'm really not cool with that. It's good to be all right. As much as we may have been in game, enjoying the moment, back it off a bit. And actually, I've gotten Liz's permission on a couple occasions. I was like, do you mind if I'm role playing singly with this one person and things get a little interesting in game? Most of the time she's like, no, I don't care, fine. But there have been a couple times she's like, yeah, no, actually, don't do that. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. And I let them know. It's like the wife said no, and they were like, all right, well, we'll do something else. So
I completely agree with that, and I mean the significant other has. They don't even need a reason. If they don't like it,
yeah. I'm not necessarily saying that it has to be justified. It helps. Don't get me wrong, it helps, but no. I mean, if the significant other's just like, no, it's like, why? Not telling. Okay.
Or sometimes there isn't really a reason that you can really like a tangible reason. More of like, I just feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that was Allison's case during that one game. I mean, if she had other reasons, I don't know it, but basically she just kind of felt uncomfortable with it, being there, actually seeing what was going on. And like I said, once Matt found out, he talked to Liz, and they backed off for a bit, and then I guess Allison then was like, okay, whatever, and the characters continued on.
Yeah. And like with the Epic game, if obviously Allison is a player in that and she sees what is going on, if there's ever a point in time, which we are really taking this whole Othello Ella thing very slowly.
Well, you all are traveling to try to save the world. I mean, it is kind of
not really like the focal point right now. That there's kind of this pressing, demon dragon thing that's going to probably eat us all. Having a date is kind of not the most pressing.
I mean, it's nice to have something to look forward to after you've saved the world, but
yeah, but realistically, I think most of our characters are sitting there going like, yeah, some of us, if not all of us, might not be here. We're probably gonna die. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, if like at any point in time, Allison ever, was just like, it kind of bugs me when Ella does this. I'd be like, all right, I won't do that no more. Whatever that might have been, because to me that's just being respectful. If I had a significant other, and like I'd be cool with them RPing with Liz, with Allison and Miri. I'd be cool with that. I'm not, but I'm not saying that there's something like they might do that. I'd be like, yeah, I don't like you doing that.
Yeah.
But just be. Again, be an adult and just say, hey, this is this. How do you feel?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Cause
don't try to force it, and don't try to weasel your way into it either, because especially if it's two players, because then that also annoys the GM.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's like one's trying to weasel their way into the other, and the GM just because it's distracting to the GM.
Yeah, because then you got to field quote unquote creeper, which I shouldn't be saying creeper because it could also be a girl going but I really
girls can be creepers.
I really want my character with your character.
Creeper is an asexual term to me.
Okay, well there we go.
Girls can be creepers.
There we go.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've heard about it. But anyway.
Bringing up to the last point in all of that, it's really not cool to not tell your significant other, like if your significant other does not roleplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will not roleplay any type of adult situations with somebody that I know is married, that I don't know 100% certainty that their wife or their hubby is completely okay with what we're doing.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
Kudos to you.
And everyone should be like that, because that's just being respectful to everybody and everybody all around.
Yep. So, okay, well, we seem to have lost Howard again.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I was, depending on, hang on, let's see if he can get back. So, I was actually going to segue, pardon me, into my talking point, which actually deals with things that have been going on both in your life and in Howard's life, though a little indirectly, not in his life specifically, but someone in his gaming group that he knows, and my life directly. And that is, sorry, I'm still actually waiting to see if I can get Howard back before, so I don't have to stop and re-explain what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh no, I understood. Completely understood.
I'm gonna have to edit the shit out of this one, but that's okay. It's good experience. So, I'm actually hoping that like Matt and Allison don't get like particularly like pissed at me for kind of like calling them out like that.
No, we didn't say anything bad.
Yeah, well, I may have been erring with the whole situation down in North Carolina. I may have been bringing up something that maybe she didn't necessarily want, or they didn't necessarily want. But on the other hand, it's not exactly like a secret either. So it's, I mean, if they get mad, I apologize.
I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, we go on tangents, we say things, and again, that brings me to the whole point that I was talking about, being respectful. If they did feel it was, something they didn't like, I highly doubt that they're going to.
Well, okay. If they come back to me and we're like, we don't appreciate you doing that, I will take this freaking episode down and edit that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
I have no qualms about doing that. So, I mean, if they're all of a sudden like, dude, we really don't appreciate that. I was just like, okay, give me 2 seconds here. I'm putting the episode back onto private, and I will edit the shit out of it to get to get that taken care of. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't worry too much, and I don't think it would be that big of a thing. I mean.
Yeah, I don't think it will either. I mean, I know Matt really well, and I know Allison I think well enough that I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious the way we talk about them. They know that we have a great deal of respect for both of them, so they're not going to think it was out of any disrespect at all.
Yeah, no.
No.
Nope. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue on, unfortunately. Okay. So, because we still don't have a Howard back, unfortunately. So, all right. So what? Pardon me. What I was going to talk about was actually depression and gaming. Because no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Gamers tend to be very, I guess, I wouldn't necessarily say unstable, but emotional, might be perhaps. Passionate. We tend to be very passionate.
We are. We are very. We're creative. When you're a creative type person.
Yeah.
You work differently.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that you just, when you're a creative type person, you work or run differently than somebody who is not a more creative type person.
Yeah, and actually, I remember back at AIW, we joked of the fact of the various mental issues that all of us had, and because it was an art college, there were issues.
Yes.
So, but depression is one of those that not everyone fully understands. I mean, there are a lot of mental issues, and I'm not trying to belittle other mental issues, because trust me, I've had my experiences, maybe not personally, but indirectly, like with people I know, people I've gamed with, who had other issues, some of which rather fucking severe.
Mhm.
So I'm not belittling that, but coming from experience, because of the fact of, and I make no bones about it, I suffer from depression, flat out. Um, you know, and so I'm just taking from experience. I'm taking, that's why I'm focusing on that specifically. That, and also the fact of, like a lot of other mental issues, but I think depression is one of the ones that um, I almost want to say is more common, or at least is starting to become more well known, but people still don't fully understand it, because there's a difference between just feeling down
Mhm.
and feeling, and unfortunately the word gets used wrong nowadays, because
Yes.
there is a big difference between feeling down and feeling depressed.
Yes.
You
There's
know,
a big
and there's
difference.
a difference between feeling depressed and being depressed.
Yes.
And so with me, it is, I am depressed. I'm not feeling depressed. I do have depression.
Mhm.
Um, and I find, actually, hang on, that gaming is actually one of those things that definitely, you know, is a light in that darkness. Um, and I'm not even entirely really sure where I'm going with this, just aside from the fact of, I know it's an issue, and it's an issue I know a lot of people deal with. And for me, gaming is what helps.
I,
Um,
I totally understand you with that. Little TMI here, but today I actually went to my doctor and sat down and just said, "Hey, look, I've been dealing with this on my own, and I can't deal with it on my own anymore." And
yeah, which I give you a lot of props for actually being able to say that.
thank you. It
Because,
was tough.
huh?
It was a tough thing to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and it was for me when I had to do it. Because I mean, back, especially like back during college, I would be perfectly fine, and then I'd break down crying, and I'd cry for like almost a good hour,
Mhm.
and I'd be exhausted afterwards just because of the emotional strain.
Yep.
But then afterwards, I'd be good for another couple of months.
Yep.
And when I say a couple of months, I mean like up to like 6 months, give or take. Well, maybe actually not quite so much. Especially at college, I think I usually would have a breakdown about once a quarter, just because of the stress levels,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
give or take. But when in the past few years, you know, I mean, I could deal with it to an extent, but obviously I eventually would have to,
The breakdown.
yeah, I'd have to open up the dam and let
Yeah.
it pour for a while before I could close it back up, and yeah, I'd have to relieve the pressure.
Yes.
Um, but I started noticing um, that the breakdowns started happening more and more frequently, and they were happening. There wasn't as much time between them, and
Mhm.
I think it actually got to the point where I was having a breakdown almost once a month, and that's when I was like, okay, I can't deal with this on my own anymore. It's obvious I cannot deal with this on my own anymore. I need help.
Mhm.
And thankfully, my place of employment had this 1-800 line that you could call for multitudes of issues. This being one of them. And I got on the phone with them, and I was actually on the phone with them for like almost a good hour, answering various questions and talking to someone, and they got me hooked up with a counselor who I'm actually seeing. Actually, I just had a session yesterday. Um, Unfortunately, the first two sessions, it's like the first two sessions were free. But thankfully, he was like, I only charge like 50, $55. I was like, okay, I can do that. You know, I actually honestly don't think, I see him as much as perhaps I should, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, finance is kind of getting in the way of that. But
That's actually something my doctor brought up today with when I spoke with him and asked about counseling, and I tabled that right now because I told him about the Facebook and Skype group that we have set up. Um, to help each other out, and how we're meeting and everything, and that, like, right now, I feel like that's a good thing for me, because you guys know me,
Yeah.
and he
Well,
actually, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish.
He actually did, I thought he was going to have to, like, refer me to a psychiatrist or something like that, but no, literally, I walked out of that appointment with a 3-week trial of antidepressants that I'm trying for 3 weeks, and I'm supposed to go back in 3 weeks. We're going to see how this works for me,
Yeah.
and then I'll probably have a prescription if it works.
Well, see, I unfortunately, because of those experiences that I've been through others that I've known. I don't know if you remember Bobby from at AIW. I dated her for a little while.
Yes, I do remember Bobby.
Yeah. Oh, talk about a eye-opening experience to the world of psychiatrics. Not knocking her, just her experiences, what she told me what would happen. And I became very leery of medication in general, which is actually partially what kept me away from getting help for a while. But because she had some very bad experiences with some very bad guys. So I personally, for you, would have actually, I don't know if I actually did recommend this or not, but normally I would recommend seeing a counselor first and seeing if that helps before going to meds. Understanding though that doesn't always work for everyone, because that, unfortunately, that's the problem with mental health issues, is everyone is different. So what works for one person may do the complete opposite for another. So, and I'm hoping that this does work for you. I mean, I really do. And I'm actually glad that the little meetup thing that I started with you, Liz and Mary, is helping you so much. Because, I mean, there are sometimes I'm sitting there talking to you guys like, wow, I really wish I could just take my own damn advice. And actually do my own damn, which is one of the reasons why I did it as a group, so that you all can then pound on me.
Well, I mean, like I said, you guys know me, and I'm very comfortable with you guys. And everybody in the friend circle knows that I do have issues with my monthly woman thingy.
Yeah.
So there's probably some sort of hormone or chemical imbalance going on here. So that's why we're trying the
pills first.
Yes, that's why we're doing that.
And that's, and that's what Liz discovered that she needed.
Yeah.
Although Liz had started seeing the counselor with me by then, but obviously the counselor, this was kind of way out of his purview with her, so she realized that's what she needed.
I kind of got the impression that my doctor was he didn't push the counseling thing so much, I think, because it was very easy for me to articulate to him what I was feeling, what I was not feeling. So I mean, I know the stuff that is wrong. I know, certain, like, I even told him, I was like, I know this is wrong, but I also know that, my weight is an issue, and I really need to work on that. That I know that once I lose some of it, that has something to do with my depression as well, both mentally and physically. I know these things.
But doing something about them is not always easy.
No, I cut out soda, and I've barely lost any damn weight. Then like trying to figure out time to either go to the gym or something is like, when you're chained to a desk for 8 hours. But anyway, back to the whole subject of gaming. Honestly, one of the big things that I look forward to during the week is the Epic Game.
Yeah.
It helps get me through the 5 days of working in hell. I'll just say that, working in hell. Which, lately it hasn't been so bad because we're so damn slow. But then
Yeah.
that's when other people are getting really laxed and making really stupid mistakes that, my department kind of has to deal with. So we're just kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But yeah, the weekend comes and I'm like, oh yes, epic game.
Yeah. And I always look forward to a game, usually, unless I'm having like major issues with it. Um, but I for me, I will fully admit, oftentimes it is an escape for me.
Yes. Yes.
But and that's not to necessarily say that's a bad thing, because I mean, so long as I'm not pouring everything into it and not doing anything else, because obviously I still have my day job, and without the day job there is no food, there is no roof, so
This is very true.
kind of have to do that. But I also think that just overall, especially if you've got the right GM, like myself or especially Howard,
Mhm.
gaming can be rather therapeutic too,
Again,
because it can give you a way to at the very least identify, maybe not even necessarily going so far as to say helping deal with, but at the very least it can be a way to identify certain issues.
yeah, it can definitely do that, and it can also, and again, this can go for tabletop and just like freeform RP, whatever you're into. Like if you just had a really bad day and you're feeling really down and you just need some fluff, you know, what better than to turn to somebody, like if Liz is having a really, really bad day and she knows, she's like, Nicole, I just need some fluff. Can we RP some characters to, whatever fandom we want to do?
Which actually I feel it obliged then to speak for her in the sense of to kick you into remembering some of the games that you and her were supposed to be doing off and on that apparently haven't been touched in a while. So I'm performing my husband duty there.
I know, we have dwarf feels.
And apparently she's been thinking about that game a lot. So
Oh, well then, we will, now that I'm, getting back into this turning aim thing on, 'cause
yeah,
there was a kind of a problem there. It would be on all day at work, and then I just wouldn't turn it on, 'cause I'd forget that it was there.
yep. Because I'd start harking on you on that some.
Yeah, I completely.
Which actually reminds me, you and I have a game that we need to start at some point.
My evil.
But
evil.
one of the things, because basically I guess what I'm trying to get to is overall gaming can be very helpful to this kind of thing. Actually, one of the best panels I went to at Gen Con last year, I think I talked about it on the podcast last year, but I'm going to say it again because Gen Con's coming up again. Unfortunately, I'm going to be working it, but Liz is going to be going to a bunch of panels. One of the best panels I went to last year at Gen Con was actually the first one. Was actually a gaming and depression panel, and the guy that was running it, oh my lord, like he was joking about it, he was laughing about it, which to me is a great thing. If you can joke and laugh about your problems, you're on the right track.
Yep.
This guy told us pretty much his life story with depression, and not to belittle his thing, but it made me feel a lot better about myself. Because I was like, I'm not nearly that bad. But it also kind of showed us like someone who even was that bad can get better.
Yes.
I mean, he even said specifically, he's like, so long as I'm on my meds, I'm good. But when he's not on his meds,
he's not so good.
Yeah, and actually he got into getting help kind of by accident because he said the wrong thing at an ER. He actually made the comment, he was just like, do you know how long this is going to take? Because I need to go home and try to kill myself. And they looked at him like, what? And they're like, have you been trying to do this a lot? He's like, oh yeah, I've tried actually. Actually, he stated, he's like, he'd been trying it quite often, quite a lot. Regularly.
Wow.
You know, and was just, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go home and try to kill myself again. And they were just like, you need to come with us in here. And they, and he didn't, at the time, he didn't understand what he had done or what they were doing. He was just like, do, 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 do. And, and I was just like, oh, good. But and again, he was laughing about it and joking about it, but obviously it was serious at the time. Um, and that's when he really started getting help was after that,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it was actually he had called up a was it actually he had just attempted and like by like ramming his car into a divide,
Oh.
or something, or something. I don't remember the actual. I know that was one of his attempts. He like deliberately ran his car into a highway divide, like the concrete dividers where like two lanes split off. Yeah, he went headlong into one of them. Um, but yeah, that's when he started getting help, and things obviously took an upside and whatnot. And obviously he was a gamer. But he actually brought up an app. Unfortunately, it's not really supported anymore. Um, it was called Epic RPG, and it was a way of making your life kind of into an RPG to kind of help better yourself, type of thing. And I remember, and unfortunately, it was only for iPod, for iPad or iPod or whatever. So that was one of the reasons why I actually first got myself a bloody iPod device, Mac device, was for that app. Um, Unfortunately, I talked to the company and was like, hey, you ever going to go with Android? And they're like, yeah, unfortunately, we're not supporting this anymore. You know,
Oh.
and I was like, well, damn. Um, and I stopped using it. But then I discovered an actual site. They do have an app, and I use it. I'm actually probably not using it as much as I should right at the moment, but it's called Habit RPG, and I will actually post a link to it here on the thing. And it actually is. Actually, I need to know if because I don't know if Liz is still using it. I don't know if you and Miri are using it, but you can actually form like adventuring groups in this thing.
Oh, I haven't put that on the new iPhone yet.
Okay. Um, so, but I mean, it is a website. I mean, it does have an app, but it's also a website, so you can access it anywhere. And you make, stuff you want to do or not do in the terms of like, stuff to try to make it habit forming. You've got your daily stuff. You've got a to-do list, and you have rewards. And every time you do something, you gain some experience, you gain some gold, and then you could spend that gold to either up your character in the in the app or site, but you can also reward yourself in other fashions. Like I've got it set up to where one gold, and I can play one of the minor app games I've got on my phone, like Candy Mania or Two Dots or something like that. And it's like 5 gold for like one of the bigger app games I've got. Like I've got the original Final Fantasy, iPhone app. And like Lunar the Silver Star and Secret of Mana, I've all got on my phone. And it's like 10 gold to play, like Master of Magic or to play the Wii or to watch, a movie or something like that. So I mean, yeah, obviously you've got to. There's some self discipline involved in it, obviously.
Yeah.
But there are there are apparently they've added like quests and stuff you can do, and like I said, you can join up in a group with with your friends and whatnot through this and go and battle like bosses and whatnot with it, and um it seems really cool, and I highly recommend it. Um, and I think that has helped me some too in the terms of like because I for stuff that like I have don't drink soda as one of my habits. So like when I go out somewhere and I get a drink, it's not a soda, that I hit the plus because I'm like, yay, I didn't drink a soda. But when there are times when I do go out and do have a soda, it's like, well, that's a minus because I actually went and got a soda. So
Mhm.
and stuff like that, like doing the dishes, doing the laundry. I've got those as habits to try to try to help you know help around, clean the apartment. It's on there as well. But of course, in like the daily stuff, I've got like going to work, tracking my food on Spark People because I'm trying to lose weight too. And stuff, and then like for the to do stuff is the one time stuff. Like I've got actually there's a project I was supposed to be doing for someone a long ass time ago, and I still need to actually freaking finish it, and it's been sitting there. And actually, like the longer it goes that you don't do the to do stuff, they get like redder and redder, and it starts actually like hitting your HP
Oh.
in the app. And like yeah, if you miss your dailies, that knocks your your HP as well. Um, but there's also like if you're going to go out on vacation, they do have a vacation mode where it's basically you rest in the inn, and stuff doesn't recycle while you're resting in the inn. It doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't like reset either. For each new day. So it's called Habit RPG. I highly recommend it. But bottom line, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was really wishing Howard can come back, because I know he could actually add a totally different perspective on this. But for most people, I mean, gaming is fun. Gaming is good. So if you're feeling really down, game.
Yeah, that's a couple of hours where you're with, your good friends. Generally, your gaming group is your good friends. For me, Epic Game is a couple hours where I'm with great friends and some of the best role players that I've ever had the privilege to game with. So so not only am I having fun and everything, but I'm learning from all of you guys too. I mean, Howard is amazing. The advice that he gives and just the way that he holds himself during a game it's inspiring. So there's that level of fun, but then there's also that something that I feel pushed to do better, to actually be a better role player for everybody in the game. So it's
if you weren't a good role player, I wouldn't have invited you to this game to begin with. But
I know we
but,
all.
but and I'm always a proponent that you can always improve. So
Yeah.
I definitely.
Yeah, so
I definitely have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I think that hits a lot of things where, like with depression, you feel stuck.
Yeah.
If you're gaming and there's people that you're gaming with that make you want to move forward, surround yourself with that. Because then you'll move forward.
Don't lose yourself to it.
Yeah, don't lose yourself. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely, it's a big help. I mean, it has done, a good thing for me. And again, gaming is fun. People who are depressed need fun.
Yeah. Well, and also if okay, I'm actually going to say this, and then let's kind of wrap this up because we're getting really deep and sad and whatnot.
We are.
But if you think you might have a problem of any shape, way, or fashion, really, but especially in the terms of when it comes to your mental health, like depression or something, if you even think you might have a problem, go find out.
Yeah.
Even because honestly, if you think you might, you probably do. Because that's your psyche pretty much, your subconscious pretty much telling you, yeah, there's something wrong. Even if it's actually like, especially considering like in a gaming group, like you said, oftentimes a gaming group are good friends. I know some people that like, the group they game with, that's all they do with them. They don't really know the people outside of the group. So, maybe with a group like that, actually, well, it depends on how much you kind of want to open up to them, but having an outside opinion like that actually can help quite a bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, that's the whole thing of like going and seeing a counselor. But, even if it's like going to your gaming group and be like, hey, guys, can I talk seriously, for a moment here, before, preferably probably do it after games. You're not getting everyone down, including yourself. But, just be like, hey, I really think I might have a problem with this. What do you guys think? And, I mean, if you're a close-knit group, they're going to know, and they're going to be able to tell you. But again, if you're not that close with them, that's fine. Don't bring it up to them, you know, but go talk to someone.
Yeah.
Um,
And
talk to a parent, talk to a sibling, talk to a doctor, like what you did. Talk to someone. Because honestly, again, I don't even know if I can stress this enough. If you think you have a problem, it's quite possible that you do, and then that needs to be addressed.
and this is
Um,
coming from two people one who is literally just recently today took that step forward to talk to somebody, and someone who has done it. What was that? About a year
who for me?
for you, or was it less?
Actually, it's been almost 2 years. I think it's been over
Um,
2 years now.
almost 2 years. This we both know that this is a very big step to
Yeah,
take. And we're here telling you, you can do it.
yeah, yeah. So you are not alone, which is
Hell,
another thing that actually a lot of people with depression think. They think they're all alone in this, and they're not.
if you need to talk to one of us,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
we'll be there.
yeah,
We know where you're at. We'll talk to you.
yeah.
We'll probably drag you into a game with us too, but we'll talk to you.
Oh, I would. Well,
Well, I know you would.
see, with me, that's actually how I get to know people the best.
Yep.
Is actually gaming with them, because I then I can analyze them and start to see how they react to certain situations, and I can start getting a feel for them.
Exactly.
It's part of how it's part of how I run. So, but yeah, I mean, and I guess that can kind of segue into, as we're wrapping this up, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, what the fucks, or honestly, if you just need someone to talk to, I realize I don't have a degree of any shape, way, or fashion, but
Mhm.
one of the things that honestly helped me the most was that one guy's panel just talking about his own issues.
Mhm.
So I am more than willing. And if you contact me being like, no, I want to talk to Howard or I want to talk to Puff, that's fine. I will direct you to them. It's easier for me to say to contact me first through the podcast email or the podcast, you know. Probably for this situation, probably email would probably be best, which is gmropiegamma@gmail.com. And I will post that up, you know, with this episode as well. So, but I mean, if you feel like you need someone to talk to, I would be honored, honestly, if someone was like, yeah, if I got approached via email or something like that with someone going, hey, I heard the episode and yeah, I need to talk to someone, I'd be more than happy. So,
As
with
would
that
I.
being, yeah, with that being said, wow, we got really dark there
Oh.
but I figured that was, especially considering like with you and with what I've been going through, not only in the recent past, but in the past, but recent past, and like I said, Howard knew someone that was kind of going through this as well. I figured it was a good subject. So
It definitely was,
again,
and going last was definitely a good thing too, because it's not to say that all of our subjects on this podcast are not serious, because let's say gaming is serious business, people. It is serious business.
well, it's
Okay.
supposed to be fun, but yes, it can be.
But this really got into some serious nitty gritty, life stuff. So
Yeah,
it was good for a last topic.
yeah, that's what. Well, like I said, I wanted to save mine to last, and now you can see why.
I do see why, and I think it was very appropriate. And while it did get a little dark,
Hey,
a lot of
sometimes it
people,
has to get darker before you can see the light.
a lot of people aren't, comfortable broaching that subject, and sometimes it needs to be broached, especially within our gamer nerd community. So,
Yeah. So
I commend you for
Alright.
wanting to broach that subject. Thank you, sir.
No, not a problem. Alrighty, so thank you for joining us this week. Hopefully you will join us next week. I don't know, we might have burned all of our bridges after all this, but I hope not.
I hope not.
So, but yes, thank you for joining us this week. Hopefully you will join us next week. There will be an episode next week. I have no freaking clue what we're going to talk about next week, but we will talk about something. I might actually bring you back, Buff, to talk about the one thing you were going to talk about beforehand.
Okay, that's...
How many more times can I say talk about in, like, the next minute?
We'll find out.
So...
Hopefully we'll also have a co-host.
Huh?
Hopefully we'll also have a co-host back.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. So...
Sorry about his tech issues, everybody.
Yeah, well, as we said, it wouldn't be an official episode without it, so...
Yes, but Howard does bring a certain flair to the podcast.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
And it was greatly missed. Howard, you were missed.
Yep. So, anyway, Puff, thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. And I have been your GM Byron, and unfortunately we have an absent co-host, but just remember the motto of Ropai Gamma is roll high, play well, die hard.